It's not like you're really a body to try and help guys out, you know, not just be a body and provide some resistance, but obviously when you're learning at the same time. But yeah, dude, I love that shit. I blew my shoulder out, had to have surgery, which took about a year to come back from. Yeah. And then came back, blew my knee out, so you know. It is what it is. And here we are. But yeah, man, it's like at the time my mindset was to kind of, I was very fascinated by MMA athletes, you know what I mean? So my whole idea was to kind of almost put myself as close as possibly into their sort of life, you know what I mean? To kind of understand what they were going through and what it was like. I mean, you're doing one session a day and like crawling out of there, like can't even drive, so those are just going to go do like another one of those plus a strength conditioning. Yeah, dude, it's crazy. It's mad, man. It's mad. But I wanted to ask you because I think from what you've been doing martial arts for some time.
Yeah.
I think this is one of the funniest things because like we see this fucking handsome son of a in his tailored suit, and you're like, look at this bastard, he's got it all. He's got it all.
Not even. But I mean, I do have some martial arts background. I did a lot of Muay Thai with Tiger Dragon in Pretoria. So I'm a Pretoria boy. I did a couple of years of Tiger Dragon, and it worked out really well. I enjoyed it. But my first and only love right now is really boxing.
Sure.
I would not only, obviously not only, but I mean it's my darling discipline.
Sure.
I won't even lie. It's having it hard. So that boxing, that the final art of boxing. But right now, man, I'm in a world. I'm in that world. Just as you explained it, if you couldn't be a professional fighter, you might as well be around the guys. And for me, like it's introducing the guys.
Sure.
And I've now just joined EFC, and it's my third tournament now, going into my fourth.
Yeah.
And it's getting more and more intense. And you know, going into the ring, going into the hex, bro, you can smell the adrenaline, you can taste the adrenaline.
Sure. It's like dude. This is the funniest thing for me about MMA is like I'm a quintessential hardcore fan, like a delinquent fan to that degree. Yeah. Whereas like it's not only just the fight that I'm after, you know what I mean? Like I'm very in tune with the media, what the overseas media are doing, how guys are doing things, what sort of equipment they're using, and what's going into every side of production.
Yes.
And like a ring announcer, for example, like the funny thing about you actually is that we saw you at EFC quite a while. You've been going to the events for quite some time. And Rourke actually said like they have to find a way to get a guy like Kotso involved. Yes. We don't know how. Like we were like maybe as a color commentator. Rourke, who's our producer, as always.
Shout out to Rourke.
Not fucking here.
My goodness. Okay.
But so like. We had seen that you were the kind of guy that we needed involved, you know what I'm saying? And we're trying to figure out, like, maybe as a commentator, because like we're trying to like figure out what's the next step from here. Like we don't have to fly an American, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No offense, Cyrus, like, you know, but we just like we're cool here, you know. We've got talent here, you know what I'm saying?
So as well.
And this is the thing, like Cyrus is very good at his job, one of the best in the world. I think he's gonna go on to do great things as well from here. But like we don't have to do that. We have talent here. We don't have to like outsource all of our talent. You know what I'm saying? And like when I saw them introduce you as a new ring announcer, I was like, bang! There it is.
He found his place.
There it is. You know what I'm saying?
And it was amazing, man. It was a dream that I manifested for a good 12 years. Sure. I would not lie to you. I'm sure if Cairo checked his inbox, he'd see me there a couple of times, bro. Like, bro, give me a chance. Yeah. And it just so happened I was involved with a very, very big company and doing a lot of MC work for them, and he was on the floor.
Sure.
And happened to know the GM who I was close with. He was such a cool dude, you know. And he was like, yo, listen. And Brett said, listen, Cairo, listen to this guy's voice. Listen to how he presents. And Cairo was like, you know, Cairo was very stoic. Very, very stoic. I like you. Give him a chance. And 2 years later, he gives me a call as your special K. You're on. Bro, did I not clench my anus, bro?
Because you did the awards initially.
I did.
That was like your first real gig with the UFC.
That was 2019, I believe.
Yeah, 2019.
2019. Yeah, that was big because I was introducing Fights of the Nights.
Yeah.
I was introducing Fighters of the Year, Fights of the Year.
I remember quite clearly because, as I told you at the last event, with my wife is like the biggest fangirl.
Yeah.
She like walks in and she like stops, and she's like, because we got a mate that she reminds me of Gavin. She's like, that's Gavin.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh cool, he's finally here.
Yeah.
Finally, someone's figured it out.
Yeah.
Which was cool.
Talking about ladies, my lady is like, because she's an avid fan now of MMA. Shout out to her. She's an amazing
fighting nails, okay, so.
Yeah, no, listen, she's always there with me. So, I tell her, yo, listen, babe, I'm gonna go see BigAl. And she says, yo, man, that guy's always on point. She says, that guy's content is on point. Yeah, so shout out to you, bro. Sure. From home, it's a big thumbs up.
Yeah, hey, at least we're getting somewhere, you know.
Yeah.
We got to keep them up. So you mentioned that you had like a 12-year manifestation, and I love this stuff, man. And why I love it is because it's such a good learning opportunity for people, especially in the sport. Like this is a hard sport to get in at any angle. You know what I mean? It's time consuming. There's a lot of work, and I want to get into your process of how it goes with fight night. But tell me about this 12-year manifestation and how it all came about. From like was it progression from doing Muay Thai and you just like kind of fell in love in the sport and you like try to find a way to stay involved, or how did that all pan out?
You know, it all kind of tied in. I remember being very, very young and sitting in the hospital that my mom was working at, and on the TV were boxing fights.
Sure.
And I think it was the time of Tyson. It was Tyson's time, and a couple of other heavyweights that were really shining. And I fell in love with the production and what it looked like, and it was exciting to see you guys going at it. Just the simplicity of the production is what caught me at first, and the whole showbiz aspect of it as well. But that was years back, and then years later again, it was a thing of my interest in MMA, not just boxing, different disciplines. We had a lot of street encounters. A couple of street encounters that ended up with guns being flashed. I'm like, okay, guys, this is it. This is not where we each other. Yeah, no, this was in Pretoria, bro.
Same thing, really.
You know, same thing, really, in Hatfield. You know, and yeah. So there was that, and then you have an interest to not find yourself on the ground.
Sure.
Passed out, you know, and it's like, listen, guys, I think I'm going to go find a way to defend myself. It's not going to be a gun. And eventually, it was a thing of well-being, your health. You get to your dojo, and it's more than just combat is taught. Patience is taught. Respect is taught. I mean, the highest form of respect and friendship. I mean, you get to get in the ring, beat the hell out of your friend. Your sensei beats the hell out of you and then gives you a hug. And it says, listen, you made this mistake here, you made this mistake here. So there's
that's why your nose is bleeding, because you made a mistake.
That's why you got that. Listen, I remember one of my crews, I made a rookie mistake, but he got around and he gave me a liver shot, kidney shot. And I just went down on my one knee, and before I knew it, I could swear it was 2 seconds before I knew it. Ding ding, there goes the bell. And he stands up and says, you lasted a long time. And I'm like, so you meant to just, you know, but yeah, so it got to, there's a calm within the rage.
Sure.
And if you can master the calm within the rage, you take that into life. So I learned so much in the ring, I learned so much there. But then it was a thing of, there was a lot that was happening at the same time. I'm in entertainment. I'm originally an actor. I'm a voice artist, a narrator. I'm a ring announcer for Boxing South Africa as well as an MC. But I still had a huge love for the sport. And I wanted to find a way to get in and stay in. And for me, that was the way. So I hounded Cairo for I don't know how long. And that was not the avenue that it happened. It's something absolutely amazing. And like I said, Cairo gave me that call and says, "Yo, I think it's time for African MMA as well, and to be represented on all levels." I made, just to let you know, I made all kinds of MC and Hex announcer friends around the world just from having the privilege of this position. Guys have reached out to me, "Yo man, great work, I love your work. Check out my profile." I mean, we chew the cud and we call each other and like, "Yo man, I love what you did there. I'm gonna take that one." And all of a sudden there's a fraternity, and we've never met each other, might never ever, but there's an absolute one goal, and we all kind of agreed that first of all, there's the aspect of showbiz, but then we also understand what the fighters go through to prepare, what their families go through. We understand weight cuts. We understand what it means to get into the ring. You understand that this could be his last time we see him in the ring. Shout out to Dino.
Mayor.
Yeah, Dino Bagatine. So he's somebody that I basically grew up watching. He just retired. He dropped his gloves, the Hex. But like guys like that, if it's a blessing to see him say, "Guys, I'm retiring." So a lot of guys get beaten out of it.
Yeah, look, Dino could have retired a few fights ago.
Do you know that he says he's gonna come back?
He always says that. That's why. We don't read too much into what he says. The thing is like, it's funny because like MMA is like that. People always, especially guys involved in the sport competitively, they struggle to find something to occupy them. Like most MMA athletes, what I find are very similar. They're very much like it's on the go all the time. There's something happening, and then that's blended with the perfect mix of doing absolutely nothing at the same time. Like it's a very weird thing, but to turn their back on that. Honestly, they are the most competitive people in the world. It's non-stop competition. If you put like 2 sets of weights on a floor and you just leave them there, within a few minutes it's going to be a competition. Who can do the most reps? Who can do the fastest? That's how MMA people are. So like their competitiveness always keeps them in there. And I think for a guy like Dino, he's now in Zambia and they're heading up a team, and there's
he's busy.
Exactly. There's like a driving force.
Right. I'm really happy for you.
Yeah. So I think a lot of MMA guys they always need that. That's why I like guys like, I know a lot of one-day coaches, but especially guys like Richie. He's big on what is your plan beyond this.
Yes.
And start manufacturing that plan today.
Yeah.
So
you're not just a fighter. You're not going to be a fighter forever.
You have to have plan B. It's massively important. I just wanted to touch back on what you were saying. Like I went to the UFC in 2019 to Abu Dhabi.
Yeah. And
like one of the most surreal things for me was to be in an arena to listen to Bruce Buffer. Like I can't explain it, man. It's such a funny thing because like, and the first fight out was Don Madge, and then watching that whole thing, like, because I was with Don, I filmed the series with him from the start of his camp to pretty much the day he left, was with him and Rich and Rose and Martin and JP were there from like a few days out, like,
familiar team.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
the 18. Last bit of his weight cut and just chilling in the hotel and stuff until he fought, watching all of that come out. And then listening to someone like Bruce Buffer, like just thunder through.
Where were you seated?
Dude,
ringside.
No. So no. Once you cross over, dude, you're just back to being John Smallfly. Wherever there's a seat, that's where you sit. No, so like it's like the UFC is very different. So they've got like the media table, which is probably like 30 people strong, huge, and that's kind of like the top 5 American and all the local guys and that kind of stuff, and then you're kind of like just above them, kind of thing. I mean, bro, like I was sitting next to Dan Lambert, who owns the American Top Team. Not even he was case out. I was like, I don't feel so bad. You know what I mean? And like so, but it's such an essential part, and it's such a big part of combat sports. It's like it's not just. I mean, I can go and be like, cool, this is Dino Bagatine, and then this is Petey Coxon, and they're going to fight now. You know? Enjoy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and the guys will go and they'll do their thing.
Your job in that sense is so precarious, because it's like you're literally laying down the platform, and in some ways, I think, especially if you watch how like Bruce Buffer operates, I mean, dude literally tore his knee announcing a fight. Like, that's how he took his, you know what I'm saying? Like, he literally blew out his knee.
He gets into it.
Yeah, he's so sold into it, you know, which is
he still completed his announcement.
Still going, bro. Still going. There was the fly incident.
I remember that one.
He just keeps on going, bro. You know, so it's like, it's such an essential part, and it's like, it's such a key character, and it's interesting, because like I watched your first one, and I could see there were nerves, like, and that was understandable. And it was like, oh, but he made a mistake. I'm like, dude, you go fucking stand there, and you go do that shit, dude. I want to do that shit, dude. No ways.
Listen,
you know what I mean? Like, it's a massive part of the fight game, and it's.
If you understand, you know, it's almost a thing where, oh man, ignorance would be bliss.
Sure.
If only you didn't know what it meant to the fighters.
Yeah.
If only you didn't know what it meant to rile somebody up, and have the influence of that last second influence.
Sure.
I've seen, and this wasn't for EFC. This was for Boxing South Africa. There was a tournament, and I introduced Chris the Wolf Thompson.
Yeah.
And back then we still had spectators, and this was at in Pretoria, Times Square, one of the newest venues.
Sure.
It's big, the darling of Gauteng right now. And his nickname was the Wolf.
Yeah.
And last second, I'm thinking, how this guy is. I've done research on him. I've seen him. It's exciting. He's got that pay-per-view mentality and appeal about him. He talks trash, but he's good at talking trash. He's intelligent. And I thought, hey, I want to match what this guy does, you know. And I got in there and I announced, ladies and gentlemen, Chris. And the whole arena just went, and from then, you know, that's how I would announce him. You know, it's been only twice, but his followers now knew.
Yeah.
You know, so it was a thing of you kind of know what it means to the fighters. You know what it means to the guys who organized it.
Sure.
And you're now the final nail in the coffin. But and now you don't have your audience.
Yeah, it's a whole different.
It's a baptism of fire.
Whole different kettle of fish. Is that time still right on that thing? I just wanted to remind you when you're asking.
So it's a baptism of fire. It's a lot of times when there's your spectators and your ring girls running around and there's so many distractions. Your ring announcer really is just that final cream.
Sure.
But when there's absolutely nobody, even during rehearsals, it gets daunting.
Yeah.
It gets crazy because it's crazy quiet. Yeah. And usually during rehearsals, ladies and gentlemen, introducing Petey Coxon, and even the sound guy would be like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? And now, dead quiet.
Yeah.
And so you're thinking, all right, this has to be all in my mind. I need to see the stars and I need to hear the crowd in my mind. And it was my first time, and it was absolutely crazy for me. I had an out of body experience.
Yeah, for sure.
Seeing myself there, because I watched so many guys. I watched Cyrus, I watched Shane.
Yeah. The
Duke Wellington. Shane the Duke Wellington.
My man.
I sent Shane the Duke Wellington a message years back. I said, Shane, I don't mean to disrespect you, but I'm going to take your job. That's one of my cocky moments ever, and I think one of my only cocky moments. You know, but yeah, and I just as Cairo, man, this was petty though. I don't know what the hell I did there, but it wasn't a bad thing. Just as Cairo sent me the message that says, "Yo, you're up."
Yeah.
Sent Shane a message. Yo, man, I got the job. Do you have any tips for me? I'm still looking for tips, bro.
I was just joking about the thing.
No, just give me whatever you can, please, brother. And he's like, no, dude. The fact that they've looked at you means you're good enough. Just go ahead and do your thing. Trust yourself.
What
Shut, brother. Thank you. Thank you for not being the asshole that I was.
That's awesome.
So it's it means a lot, a heck of a lot.
Sure.
It's I'm being put on the continental stage, on the world stage. There's rumors of UFC coming to Africa. Bruce just needs to give me just a while.
Yeah, hey Bruce, take a day off, bro. That dude does not take days off.
He doesn't. He's immersed in fighters' lives and
sure.
And I guess right now UFC obviously is the pinnacle of the fighting environment. It offers you the opportunity to be immersed in the fighters' world, to see them here and there. You have the Performance Institute right here. You know, you have your station. So you get to see and fraternize with the fighters, and I try and do that as well all the time. I love these guys, man. Yeah. I see some of their journeys, and I'm like, bro, I can't believe I'm going to be talking to this guy, and he's going to send me this message. Hey, Kay, how you doing? How's your daughter? And I'm thinking, man, I was watching you, bro. I'm thinking, man, your life story is inspirational.
Sure.
You know, a lot of the guys, not just who we are thinking of. You know.
Yeah, it's a hard game. It's a very hard game. It's a hard road.
It's a very lonely road. I can only imagine. You have your teammates, but in the heads.
Yeah, it's a bit different.
It's one on one. You have your cornerman,
and then you leave, and then they're like, "Now we really alone, bro."
You know what's crazy? What's crazy is always the reaction from the losses.
Sure. Yeah, it's intense.
Yeah, sometimes human nature, you never get the same reaction. There'll be a guy who has lost all 3 rounds, all 5 rounds, but without a shadow of a doubt, believe that he's won. And then there'll be the guy who won clean, and has didn't believe that he won. It's always amazing to watch.
Yeah, it's such a strange thing that, and as you're saying, I'm trying to think of one of the best examples, which was recently, and you can watch like I know fighters will say like a spirit fade almost. It's like a guy's broken, and it was now recently with Anisette and Elaine Lunga, and where I was, because I mean. Obviously, a lot of people had anticipated this like all-out slugfest, and I mean that's what Elaine is known for. But the guys that have trained for Elaine, I've spent quite a bit of time on the mat with Elaine. Him and Trezor, like we call it fireboard jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
Those guys on the ground are ridiculously good, and then I kind of just like keep that there. And the way Elaine went about like handling his business. Somewhere like deep in the 3rd, maybe early into the 4th, because I think somewhere around the 3rd round he had kind of decided to stay standing a little bit, to like draw out the takedown, got the takedown right against the cage, and Anisette's corner had like nothing to offer, and this look in his face, you could just see he knew it was over already. You know what I'm saying? He was like I don't have an answer for this, you know what I mean? And like just watching that whole spirit just fade away. It's quite incredible, and I don't know if you always get to see those on TV, to be honest. And then it's something, as you said, also when I think about like in that sort of situation, you've been dragged out, it's been a complete shutout, and then you still have to listen to them tell you that you've now lost. Like it's quite funny. And that's the other side of your job, because like you come in like, get this fight going, like everyone's like pumped up, like let's get it on, and then you're like, this guy won, and I'm afraid you're gonna have to stand here while we're all celebrating winning.
listen, and you know, Anise is one of those fighters I have followed for a long time. He comes from Pretoria. He comes from Sunnyside.
Sure.
I get my haircuts in Sunnyside. His wife does her hair.
Yeah.
She's got a hair station two stations away from there. So I know the dude very well. He's my friend.
Yeah.
And I had to announce his L.
Yeah.
And you know, being a ring announcer, you have to be impartial. You have to show impartiality.
Sure.
Come here, Archie.
Yeah.
My hair. What is it? What is it?
Yeah, this guy won.
You know what I'm saying? You can't do that.
Yeah.
The show business.
Yeah, you've got to kind of like celebrate with everybody at the same time.
At the same time. And that's a
decision.
good thing. But if you have respect for every single fighter or every single man who steps in the hex, it's not too hard to do. It's really not too hard to do, to tell you the truth. But yeah, you have those moments, and I know exactly the moment you're talking about.
Yeah.
You
can just see it fade, man.
It was devastating for me as well.
I've seen it before. I've seen it so many times, and it's quite funny because it's like,
my goodness.
And like I say, I watch so much more. To be honest, I probably miss most of the fight because I'm just like that, dude. Like I'm analyzing what people are saying. I'm analyzing what his corner is saying, what they're doing, how they're transferring information to the athlete, and like. Man, like some of the things they were saying, I was just like, I'm like, dude, he can't do that from there. Like, he needs step-by-step guidance. You're talking about a crossface. He's not even
range.
Yeah, he can't go crossface from there. It's impossible. What he needs is for you to say to him, put your right hand here, turn your body, turn towards him, turn away from him, get onto your knees, turn onto your knees, turn into a single leg, stand up. From there, use the single leg to get up, get against the cage. You know what I mean? Like, and those kind of things. Like, I'll like watch one corner for a little bit, see how they're reacting to what they say. Then go back to the athlete, see what he's doing. Is he responding? Is he following instructions? Can he hear what they're saying? Then I go back to the next corner. Then I do that, and I watch their fight, and I'm kind of like do that all the time. That's what I like to do. You know what I'm saying? And then I'll stop. Then I'll watch one fighter and see what he's doing at a time. I don't watch the whole fight. It's a strange thing. So like on a big fight like this weekend, like people ask me straight away, what did you think of the decision? And I'm like, it's razor thin, dude. It's one of those decisions Corey and TJ can go either way. So I'm like, I'm not going to give you an answer right now because I haven't watched the whole fight as a picture. I've watched moments of Corey and I've watched moments of TJ, and I've tried to see like how they're responding, and then I have to go back, turn the sound off.
That's difficult.
And then it goes back.
Turn the sound off.
Yeah, turn the sound off, and I go back at night and I watch it. I have to do that. I have to do that. My wife's like on Saturday night.
So what's the verdict?
Again, the other side of the thing is, I can't be impartial in a fight like that because it's so tight. And I've really watched the decision, and I'm always, for whatever reason, I'm slightly more favoured towards Cody. But
Sandhagen.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So may I guess why?
Yes.
Aggression.
That also, like, there's like
he was more on the front foot than TJ.
No, he wasn't. You see, so Sandhagen's fight style in that kind of a fight, his fight style, in my opinion, actually is to his detriment because he's the rangier guy, and he knows he pedals on the back foot a lot. That's his style, and he circles that way. So he's constant with his back towards the cage. Where TJ is very come forward. And TJ was actually coming, I didn't realize his knee was blown, but like I was like, TJ normally, the way he closes distance is he'll throw and then he'll change stance. So he'll go 1, 2, and he'll step off to a distance and throw from a different stance. And he does that a lot, switch step, that kind of thing. But he wasn't doing it, and I was like, I think he's a bit tired. And then I was like, afterwards they said, no, his knee blew. I was like, oh, okay.
So he couldn't step to the side.
But he was a lot slower. He wasn't like changing stances as fast as he normally would. But he was getting damaged. He took a lot of damage. He took a lot. Oh, dude, that thing was gnarly. Because I like saw a picture of it and I was like, oh, that's bad. And then I saw another picture of it where he had turned, and I was like, oh,
it was just flesh.
You can almost see his brain from there.
So crazy. And how my lady is watching with me, she's like, mate, this guy's his forehead bone his
whole forehead is open.
The bridge in the nose is one thing now.
But if you think about it like this, like you think about how deep that gash is. I mean, obviously it's protruding scar tissue that's come down. Because that gash is like.
He didn't say that.
But like, feel here, there's just bone there, dude. Like, so think about how much scar tissue is actually on there.
But there is a lot, because he did say that he got cut in a sparring session just before that.
Yeah. Well, they had to cancel the previous fight because, and I think it was on the other side maybe, but like, dude, like, so what I was saying is, I think if Corey had spent a good quality of the rounds actually in the center pressing forward, it might have been slightly different. But it's, man, that's just how the judges see it. Like, it's such a hard one. You can't. It's one of those decisions where you can't be like, oh, he was robbed. I'm like, nobody was robbed. It was razor thin. It'll come down in those kind of fights. It will come down to like a couple of minutes of one round that'll decide that entire fight. You know, it's that kind of close. Yeah. And guys are like, damage. I'm like, you don't damage, but damage can occur in one round. You know what I'm saying?
You see what Corey said.
Yeah.
So in terms of damage, he took it, but in terms of aggression,
TJ
took it.
But that's his fight style, man. That's such a.
He has to learn from it.
No, he does. But I mean, it's like that's what's worked for him. That's his fight style. He likes guys coming onto him, and that's the way he deals with it. That's how he picks you apart. Yeah. He's got that range.
The chin leads a lot of guys.
Yeah.
When they're coming forward, guys just leave the chin out there.
Yeah, that's what he does. He's very good at it, man. So it's hard. Accuracy. So he has to find a way to like adopt that style but come forward at times. Again, it comes down to one of those things where I think like maybe his corner would have like a marking around where they'd be like, okay, they'd say something to him and it would trigger him to say, okay, I need to stop going backwards now, I've got to start going forwards, you know. Especially but he's young dude as well. Like I'm a huge fan of that kid. He's got the most ridiculous skill set I've ever seen. Like it's like even just to put it to you this way. The way he rolls out of like takedowns, for example. And he would turn his back a lot, which that was a bit weird to me. But he would almost like give up his back. So TJ would adopt straight to the body lock, and then he would just roll out of it. Like to do something like that, dude. He's just
basically he's bending you, he's controlling you. Yeah, he knows he's 2 moves, 3 moves ahead of you.
It's pretty mental, man. Like he's got a good fight IQ, he's got a good style, but also it's nice to have TJ back. I think he brings, and that wasn't the best TJ by any form of imagination. So it's.
You were talking about Anis's corner.
Bro, they were completely lost at that point, man. I think it was their wrestling coach or jiu-jitsu coach who was like trying to feed them stuff for a while, and then just like. You could see he got a bit like he got despondent, but I mean, which is going to happen sometimes. Your opponent's game plan is superior, and there's not much you can do about that, especially if you didn't have like a structure in place. There wasn't like a plan B, you know what I mean? There wasn't a point to say, okay, listen, and he said like he's going to shoot the double against the cage, he's going to drag you down, he's going to lace your legs. This is what you need to do. There was no plan like that, and that. So the things that were eventually feeding him were just like non-consequential, like the crossface. I'm like, bro, the Soak's back has been taken into the crossface. Like, it's impossible.
What you were hearing, excuse me, what you were hearing at least was 2 moves.
Yeah.
I hear so many times.
Stand up.
The guy is being out-wrestled.
Yeah.
Stand up, he's being painted, and the corner is going, this is your last chance.
Yeah.
You need to go in there and just beat the hell out of him.
That's desperation mode, bro. Like that.
Really? Is that what you're going to tell me now?
You're like, dude. So
and then you hear the other corner, more jabs. I just need two more jabs on your right, 2 more jabs, and stick to that.
One of the more famous ones, I think, was Mark Henry.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who it was. I think it was Juan Mirage, I think it was against Henry Cejudo, actually.
Yeah.
And Mark Henry just like pulled out this card, and like Mark Henry is the most analytical coach in the world. Like they've got codes and they've got code words. Nobody's got the same. There's all of this crazy shit going on. Like you can't just go there. Yeah. Like you have to go spend a year with this dude. So he can make your own codes for you.
Right.
Like and he like grabs Juan Mirage and he's like, think about the sacrifices your mothers made for you to be here. Everyone was like, what? What? Like that's literally, you just like, you're completely out of place. You're just like completely out of place, and you've got to like just draw something out. You're like, well, this dude's like, he's losing this fight. Everything else is abandoned. We've abandoned everything else. Like, think about your mother right now, dude. And you go out and you win this shit. We were at an amateur event a little while ago. And it's one of the best things for me. I can't stop laughing at it. And like the corner's like, get up. I'm like, bro, obviously if he could, he would. Like, we're gonna need more. Like, how the fuck do you want him to stand up? What should he be doing? Should he post? Should he plant? Should he fucking turn? What is the first step? Like, get up is not the first step because it was that easy. You would just do it. Like, let's hear some advice.
Get up, eh?
Yeah, like, come on, guys. Like, but I mean,
do something.
Yeah, do something. That's the infancy of the sport still. Like, there's, you know, like jiu-jitsu, for example. A few years ago, like, I mean, when I was trying to get into jiu-jitsu, it was so hard. It was still already there. Like, finding a gym close to where you need to be wasn't the easiest thing. You know, like, it's still blossoming. But a lot of those earlier guys, like Rich will tell you, for example, like, there was no jiu-jitsu here. Like, nobody was here. You were like kind of seeing stuff here and there. And you were kind of like picking it up. MMA here is still like dealing with that, kind of like the smoke from that fire. You know, there's a lot of smaller outreach places, like into the Eastern Cape kind of gyms where the guys are, where one dude like learns a bit of MMA or like competed maybe like back in the 80s or 90s, and that dude's kind of just been looking after that area. So there hasn't, and no one else has really gone there and like updated them on the information. They haven't gone anywhere and got new information. You know what I mean? So you know, so like that kind of stuff still has to happen. There's still a lot of growth that has to happen, and the, you know, this is the thing with the UFC. What I say to people is like, you can hate the UFC all you want, but that will not happen without them. They are the pinnacle, you know what I mean? And we need them, whether you like it or not. I mean, like, but this is crap. I'm like, okay, cool. So let's just tell them just to stop, and then what are you going to do? What are you going to complain about when they got? Exactly. You're going to be like, well, this is crap. They got now. You know what I'm saying? So So it's funny to see, but the sport's come a long way, but it's still a long way to go. And like we're talking about UFC, that'll be massive for Africa.
It will be absolutely crazy, but I mean, I think we're leading there in terms of the champions. I don't see any of the current African champions going anywhere for a while.
No,
I don't see Ghana going anywhere for a while. Stipe is really upset that he has to wait to fight.
He's very upset.
But I'd love to see Stipe fighting again. But back to the African champions. Adesanya, I don't see him going anywhere for a while.
Especially like it's so funny because like Kamara's at the place where people are starting like they've run out of things to say to him. They're like, well, he needs to go up weight. Yeah, he's got to go up the weight division.
He's got to unify.
What does he need to do up there? Firstly, it's his mate. Secondly, why? Like, we've gotten so used to this idea that you've gotten so good, you have to go up a weight class. I'm like, no, it's not how. It never worked like it before. Why is it important now? You know what I mean? Like, it's gonna get interesting for him because he's like, I mean, and I know he's running with it. He's like, I'm gonna start lapping these guys. I'm like, that's cool, but like, I don't know, man. We're gonna have to see something.
I don't think. We're gonna have to see something spectacular from the guys.
But Kamaru Usman is. I mean, Kamara's a funny one because I actually watched that Ultimate Fighter series. It was the last really good Ultimate Fighter series, the Black Zillions versus ATT. I remember watching him and I was like, this dude's fight style. I mean, at that time, it was literally like one jab and a takedown, and it was very, very systematic from there. It was very, you know, keep the position, improve the position, improve the position, drop a few shots, improve the position, drop a few shots. and that was where, like, at that point, and as he started winning, he got to like 5, 6 in a row, and then everyone was like, I mean, at the time, I said to myself, I'm like, nobody's going to beat this guy. There's literally nobody that's going to beat this guy. He's
perfected the basics.
But he's literally just going to be one of those guys who's going to take him 100 fights to get to a title because of his style. And then he got one flash knockout, and then he started a little bit more aggressive, and then I think it was, I want to say the Colby fight.
I think Colby gave him his big ticket.
Colby was the best, and that's
the best thing to happen to his career.
Best thing, because it drew out that aggression that he needed.
Look, man, he's a boring guy, bro. I'm half South African, half Nigerian. A lot of Nigerians are very proud. There's no Nigerian that will say, you can't say you're half. You can't say you're half anything. If you're Nigerian, either you're full Nigerian or you're nothing at all. So you be Nigerian or you're, so you know. So it's so I'm Nigerian as well, but I think he's such a boring guy. He's a really, really boring guy, but he's done his work, and I think he's getting better, and he's breaking out of his shell. He's still a family man, and he has to do his thing. And listen, lot of things I respect about those guys, and one guy here in the EFC. Obviously, he's champion, and we're not riding him. Drickus has got his company.
Sure.
He's got a huge level company. He's doing his thing on the entrepreneurial side.
Sure.
Those guys are also doing a lot of the stuff outside of there.
Yeah.
You know. So I think steady, slow and steady, will win the race.
Yeah.
You know, and keep your brain intact.
Sure.
For when you retire, it's such an important thing. Adesanya is huge on that.
Sure, dude, he's probably one of the best to ever do that, you know. And that's like the funny thing. I think when people look at Kamara as well, they're like, well, they're like all this talk about African champions.
Yeah.
And I mean, Francis is kind of just like here because he's just ridiculous. He's just like how we are the same species as Francis.
That's the thing. You're fighting a gorilla.
Yeah, we are the same species, but there's no ways. There's
a guy like this in the EFC. I forget his name now. I forget his name. He's tall. Bandu.
Yeah. We're not the same species.
If you see Bandu,
there's no way,
bro.
No. He's a monster. He's an absolute monster. I remember like the Brandon Katz, his team was telling me about him.
Shout out to Brandon, by the way. Shout out to Brandon, old school baby.
And I was like, cool, sounds cool, bro. But like, we've got to see him fight. Like, all of that means that we've got to see him fight. And then he was fighting Mark Cumber.
Yeah.
And Mark got into the cage and he was like, you know what, guys, my neck's a little bit sore.
Yeah,
I think I'm just going to skip this one. I was like, shit, okay.
Diego Bandu.
Dude, that oak is absolutely. How tall is that guy? He must be like 6'5".
So I'm 186, so he's about, I think he's about 2, just 2 over 2 maybe.
2 meters, no ways, but it's like his width tall.
I'm 186, so I think he's 188.
Yeah, he's insanely tall. I know they measured his wingspan. I was there when they were doing it.
Yeah.
And Matt the Barrows came back. He was like 2.01 meters. And we were like, sorry, go measure it again. He went back, 2 meter wingspan, bro. It was like, his reach is it's ridiculous.
But you saw his last fight.
Yeah.
It was brutal.
Dude, it's scary power.
Yeah.
He's got scary power.
And
then there's
it was against Ricky, yeah. It was Ricky, and I think he folded Ricky.
There's a new dude who came in from Conrad's camp.
Mr. Siabi, Conrad.
Yeah,
Conrad, the club
Zico.
Yeah, it's Makengele. Zico's okay, right. So I was standing next to Graham.
Yeah.
And Graham, if you stand next to Graham, he has these little quirky things that he says. Sometimes he talks to himself, sometimes he's talking to you. But and Zico takes off his pants and he takes off his top just before we in. And Graham is like, what the absolute heck? This is not human.
Bro,
and I look at Graham like, you son.
Yeah. He's a beast, man. He's an absolute beast. I think he's gonna be trouble in the UFC.
Yo.
So it was quite funny because he was like middleweight.
Zico the gorilla Makengele.
Yo, absolute gorilla. He is an absolute gorilla.
You know, he's a specimen.
And they're like, cool, he's gonna drop down to welterweight. I was like, what? How is he even doing that?
Crazy.
Right,
is that what the plan is?
Well, he fought. His last fight was at welterweight.
Yeah, but I mean,
he came in at middleweight.
He came in at middleweight, and at middleweight he was huge.
Yeah, it was like, this guy's a gorilla. They're like, yeah, cool, he's a gorilla, but he's going to go down another weight division.
I'm super excited about that.
Okay.
I'm super excited about 88.
Yeah, it's a good card. Good card.
88, you have BigAl versus Zulu.
Yeah. No, that's going to be 89, isn't it? What's the next one? The next one's 88 and 89. And
yes.
Yeah. So Zulu versus BigAl is
88 or 89.
Yeah, it's 89. I think
it's 89. It's right now I don't know, not to sound biased, but 2 of my favorite fighters right now.
So are you on the Zulu train? You think he's going to wrap it up?
I was on the Zulu train.
So I can tell you how that fight's going to go.
I was on it. Okay, hold on. Let me just tell you.
Go for it. I'm listening.
BigAl?
Yeah.
Cole Henning. Watching those guys fight.
Yeah. Cole Henning's really.
You know, there are some fighters that you think, not in 1,000 years will I go through this guy.
Yeah.
Not in 1,000 years. You could be 2 weight classes bigger, and this guy will pummel you, and you're not going to say that you beat him clean.
Yeah.
Cole was talking to his opponent. He was talking to him casually while he was beating him.
Yeah, Cole Henning's a scary individual, man. That guy
I felt like a kid
shit out.
in a candy store.
He literally scares the shit out of me, dude. I'm like, that guy is...
Because also the same thing. Biko's got this aura about him.
Yeah.
Biko's short. He's short. And I stand next to Biko. Hey, champ, how you doing? He's like, yeah, I want to fight you. I'm like, champ, no, whatever, champ.
Leave me alone.
But man, these guys are not built the same.
Yeah.
Their cheekbones are not built the same. Their jawlines are not built the same. It's crazy when you get up close and you look at. Do you know Biko's hand? It's so much bigger than mine.
He's crazy.
And I'm not lying to you because when his manager friend was next to me, I shook Champ's hand, right? And I was like, and I thought, flip six, bro. This guy is shorter than me. Yeah. But it's believable because Chris Wolf Thompson, who's about 2 centimeters taller than me, his hand covers mine.
Yeah, he's a big unit. Shout out to Chris. We're trying to get him into the UFC. There was a talk of it.
For real?
Yes. Look, he's keen, bro. He's keen. You know the answer. Pay the man. Pay the man. Even Kevin Larita at this stage, to be honest, they were trying to get him into the UFC. I think Kevin was also like, you can't afford me, bro. So, see you later. Yeah, there's some cracking fights coming up at the UFC, man. Biko versus Zulu Boy, in terms of the UFC landscape, is such a big fight. Unfortunately, I think for Zulu Boy is that it's stylistically it is a disastrous matchup. Look, I don't know.
I love Zulu. He knows I love him.
Good dude.
But Biko is just something else, especially after his last fight. It's just, I don't see anybody beating him right now.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting. Very, very interesting.
It's crazy.
Very interesting. The last thing I wanted to ask you, talk to me about your process, because like this is something I'm so intrigued by. It's not, I mean, like a couple of flashcards and like
right.
There's what are you talking about? 22 people on a fight card. In terms of like having a bit of detail on each one, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Like I say, it's like we see this handsome SOB up there in his tailored suits, just killing it. Like there's a little bit more to it. So just run us through that process.
So much more to it. Firstly, it's having the EFC team.
Sure.
You see, I'm sure people know. I'm right at the end. There's so much that goes into organization, into making sure that the right names are on the guys are spelled. There's so much that goes into it. So first of all, it's about having that team that provides you with the utmost accurate information. I've been in tournaments where the promoter is coming to me and says, "What the hell did you just say?" Or, "Don't you know I'm the promoter? Why would you mention my name?"
You forgot about me, bro.
This is the information that you get given, right?
Yeah.
So first of all, it's a thing of, and shout out to the team. There's just so many guys that play each of them play a very pivotal role to the whole system. But in the end, I get my cards, and before that, I conversate with Graham here and there. We talk, and I see his page. I stay in touch with what the EFC is doing. First of all, I've always done that, and I think that's why transitioning from a huge fan to a Hex announcer hasn't been that crazy, because even as a fan, I knew fight statistics, I knew where the guys came from, I knew where they gymmed. Now it was a thing of getting the most accurate stats and representing the guys. So when we have a couple of meetings before fights with the team. We have casual discussions about the fighters and then the tournament. It's a thing of there's constant information that's being repeated, and that's important for preparation for all of us. Okay. So it's that happens. Then I get given my cards, and from being given my cards, I already know who's fighting. I've already done my research, gone onto the socials, I've done whatever research I can on the guys. What they get called out in gym. I know Sneaky, I had a very special moments were sneaky because he didn't know that I was going to call him sneaky for his win.
Yeah.
And I said, sneaky, and he turned around and he was like, you know, so those little things help. But it's a thing of knowing your fighters, and towards the actual fights, I get to go into the rooms and speak to the guys. You know, I speak to them, how you doing when they're taking their press pictures. Find out if I'm pronouncing their names properly. If they have a nickname they'd like to use, a pseudo name they'd like to use, those kind of things. Yeah, so basically that's that.
Devil in the detail.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Yeah, it's like I say, there's always a lot more involved to what we get to see in the polished product. I
mean, look, it's you get to live the dream as well.
Sure.
So you're having fun a lot of times.
Yeah.
You know, and you see these guys. Look, it's a thing of this dude is about to come in 30 seconds, and you are the closest to him.
Yeah.
You are now at the complete end result of a complete fighter.
Yeah, he's just saying the mic.
So you're not at the complete end result of a complete fighter, ready to go at it anytime. Bro, it's a very special thing.
No, for sure. It's like the last face you see.
Yeah.
It could be the last one you see.
Listen, and seeing the focus on these guys' faces, or seeing how relaxed the other guy is, you know.
Go ahead. Stone-faced killer. Stone-faced killer.
And you know, it's crazy because some guys come in there so relaxed.
Yeah.
So
it is weird, man.
Relaxed. And he's looking down, and you think a real fighter, someone who wants to win, is going to be looking up or looking fixated on his opponent.
Sure.
But the winner is looking down, and he's relaxed, he's smiling.
Thinking about what he had for breakfast.
Yeah, but we shouldn't have had those. I should eat this guy and just last night's leftovers. Something like that.
Brother, thank you so much for your time. I'm glad we finally got you on here, so we could put a name to the face. Everyone knows who you are. I know you're a busy man. You're all over the show. You're an actor. You're on TV. You're in ads. You're in all sorts of things. Where can people see and hear you right now?
I mean, if you just want to simply keep in touch, it's my Instagram.
The quintessential African cocktail.
Yeah.
Listen, from a PR perspective, not that I'm any sort of... That's what I always say to young fighters. I'm like, don't make your name something ridiculous like the quintessential African cocktail, because nobody's going to find you, bro. Just use your name, like it's easy.
Look, I feel like right now, it's quite a lot of fire, actually. Oh, nice name. All right, okay, cool. You think you're the world. You think the sun shines up your ass. It's like, it was the face, guys. But it's cool for the state. Run. My girlfriend was like, "Hey, what the hell? What the hell is wrong with you? Run. You've done your hair and now you changed your
having a life crisis.
A life crisis, you know. And shout out to my girl again. She's an amazing partner.
Fantastic.
Yeah, man.
Where can we see you?
So right now you can hear me on Star FM. I'm the voice of Star FM.
Okay, fantastic.
That's Star FM 919. You can find me Sun International as an MC. As the Sun International Times Square Casino, and so looking forward to opening the arena because
dude, I love it.
That was our baby, that was our darling, you know.
That is the most epic arena ever. Yeah, it's amazing. When you've gone from Carnival City, bro, you've been dredging it out to Carnival City, and you get there. I'm like,
you get to this place is beautiful. The sound is world class.
Thank you.
Technology.
Yeah.
That being said, you know, it's sad news, but the dome has officially closed, and ownership has changed.
Yeah.
But I think the most tragic part is that it's not anything to do with entertainment.
Yes, we buy cars. Okay.
Is that what's going to happen?
We buy cars. Man. You ever been to one of those guys' showrooms?
No.
It's mental, bro. There's so many cars in there that literally the dome is going to be a used car sales lot. That's what it's going to be.
Those American movies.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. It's going to be pretty interesting.
Listen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been an absolute honor. You're the first one to interview me.
We've got to get you in, bro. You've got to know what's going down.
Always on point.
I'm fine. I'm honestly, like I said, man, I'm really glad that they've got you in there. I think it's a nice touch. It's a nice voice, easy on the eyes. I know the ladies aren't mad at it.
Yeah, man.
Shout out to ladies.
Yeah, my lady will appreciate that.
Yeah, they aren't mad at it. Quintessential African cocktail on my screen, boy.
I love how it blows off your tongue, bro.
Now they're just gonna be hitting that Instagram one little flick through there.
African cocktail.
Couple of topless photos on their ladies if you're interested. Please don't kill me.
Oh goodness me. Good PR, bro. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my brother. Thanks guys for tuning in. We'll catch you soon.
Yeah.
Peace.